Scotty, what's up? This is Reckoning Brothers podcast. I'm Mark. That's Scott.
Correct. I'm Scott. Mark, what's going on? Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Scott, I'm going to read you something from CBS
Oh, I
News.
can't wait to hear it.
Human composting offers an environmentally friendly alternative to burial and cremation. Here's how it works.
How's it work?
I don't know, but these tomatoes taste like my ex-wife.
Human composting, that's not collecting like a bunch of human shit to put on plants. It's like a
No,
dead
it's like,
body gets chopped up.
bodies. Yeah, so it's like, I don't know, Soylent Green or something.
Okay. Yeah, no, Soylent Green, not only great movie, great depiction of a dystopian future with all the people like sleeping on the stairs
You know
and
what the
all
best
that
part of that movie
overpopulation
is?
craziness.
The best part of that movie is when Edward G. Robinson makes Hungarian goulash out of like a piece of beef that Charlton Heston brings back to the
Yes,
apartment.
because beef is so
But they
valuable.
haven't eaten like that in
Religion.
and they're eating goulash and biting piece of celery, and for dessert they have an apple, and Charlton Heston eats the whole apple except for the stem, and he goes like that. And Edward G. Robinson goes, I haven't eaten like that in years. And then takes a big swig of booze.
It's a little thing that is a great movie. It gets overshadowed by the big ending, and it doesn't help you appreciate all the little scenes like that.
Right,
It's
right, right,
it, it's
right.
really good. So human composting is a real thing that people are trying to do,
I haven't read
and you're
the
grinding
story
up
yet.
dead
So,
bodies.
I mean, I haven't even read the story. I saw the headline. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Quote, it's labeled as a new process, but this is as old as the first living organisms. This is what happens to any living organism when it dies, but we're accelerating it, as I say, through science and technology. So it's a completely natural process. I don't know, man. I'll probably end up in some neglected patch of weeds somewhere. So what the fuck do I care?
I agree. I really don't have a strong feeling about this. I think it's whatever happens with my body is
I mean,
fine. If it can help somebody,
a lot of
donating
people,
organs, all that shit.
my
Why not?
mom did that. My mom told us. She said, when I die, a van from Wright State University is going to come over here and pick me up, and that's exactly what happened. And
Gee.
she was 88 years old, so I'm not sure they could use anything from her, but Wright State has a medical school, and medical schools need cadavers and all kinds of things to practice on and work on, etc. And then they cremated her, and they were very tactful about it. They had me and my sister come over, and they gave us an urn, and they put a brick in a really lovely garden. She just was like, I don't need I don't need no damn juice running
That's
through
the
my
best
veins.
of both worlds. I didn't even realize you got ashes back when you donated your body like that. That's the best of both worlds. So you get to
Well,
loan a cadaver out to get sliced up for a while or whatever. Then you get the
yeah,
ashes back.
I mean, they
That's
operate
a
on the
win-win for
corneas. They
everybody.
practice operating on corneas and all that kind of stuff, right? And then whatever's
Yeah.
left, they cremate, put in an urn, and they have a
Huh.
memorial service, like they do it like every quarter or whatever. So there was the room for the memorial service was like a mass memorial service. There were like 300 people in the auditorium at Wright State, right?
Huh.
And
It
it
was like a
showed
graduation ceremony, only it was getting
exactly, except it's
ashes
for
of dead bodies
it's a
back.
graduation ceremony for dead
So it
cadavers.
was less depressing than a graduation ceremony.
It was, it was very tactful. It was very nice. And then they shuttled us all over to, to this rock garden where everybody who did that has a brick, and it brought back memories for me because that garden is like near where the president of the university's house is. Like, every university has like a designated home for the president of the campus, for the president of the university. You know,
I did not know that, but it makes perfect sense.
you didn't know that?
Yeah, perk of the job makes sense. What do I know about presidents of universities and their
You didn't
housing?
know
I know
that?
they get paid a lot, and I know that they destroy the minds of the youth. Do I need to know anything other than that?
Well, no. They all live on campus and they all have homes or near campus. They all have homes that are provided by the university. It's like they're a general, right? Like generals can live in a general's quarters, they don't have to pay anything for it,
I
right?
guess it's part of the status symbol of the job then, right? Like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm the top
yeah.
dog. I live at the White House of Yale
I
or
only
whatever the
brought that
fuck it
up
is.
because I only brought that up because we used to catch carp at what's the name of that lake in Enid? Rainbow Lake. Used to catch carp at Rainbow Lake and like throw them in the president of the university's front yard. We didn't do any we didn't like pitch any tents and scream Intifada Revolution, fuck the Jews.
Did you really do all that, or were you just hallucinating when you were watching Animal House? Like I
Oh, my
did that.
college
It's like, no,
days.
no, no.
Oh my
But
fucking god. So, did you see the thing? So, did you read the screenshot I sent you?
the Victor Davis Hanson, who I saw an
Keith
interview him, I really
Keith
liked that guy.
Oberman.
Oh
Keith
yeah,
Oberman.
Keith Oberman. Keith Oberman. Yeah, yeah.
So I'm going to
Trump's
read it to everybody. The
mass
appointment.
murders. Just
The headline is Trump picks fracking company CEO as next Department of Energy Secretary. Well, you would want somebody like involved in the energy sector to be like the energy secretary. Like there's nothing unusual about that. So, and Keith Oberman goes, the appointment of this man to this job means millions will die. He did the fucking meme. The guy did the fucking meme. Millions will die. Trump is getting an early start to round two of mass murders.
how long do you think these resistance types have of people
Um,
clicking on their tweets?
they
How
learned
long?
nothing. They learned nothing. They learned nothing.
How
They
long?
didn't,
I don't think they have
no, they
long.
didn't learn a thing because they've been, like, uh, they lost the election because nobody wanted to vote for a black woman, that whole thing, etc. And as
Yeah.
I keep pointing out, um, so if that were true, then 1 in 3 people of color wouldn't have voted for Trump. Republicans wouldn't have taken control of state governments. They wouldn't have taken control of the Senate. They wouldn't have secured victory in 8 governorships, and they wouldn't have won the House of Representatives.
I
Like,
think what I want to know, Mark, is because in agreement, it is such a stupid idea to think that she didn't win because she's black and because she's a woman. That's a stupid thing to think. How much shelf life does that idea of everybody's racist and everybody's sexist have? The election showed that part of the election of Trump said that everybody is done with being talked down to and being told they're racist and sexist and the bad things that they're not, or at least they don't
and a
believe they are.
transphobe and a
All of it.
homophobe.
Islamophobe, all of that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the shelf life has got to be hitting a point. I mean, I know cycle ideas come and go and come and go,
If
but it's
RFK
got to
doesn't,
be dipping out of
if
existence too.
RFK Jr. doesn't keep the chemicals and everything, that shelf life is going to last a lot longer.
Mm. Nice, clever reference with shelf life and preservatives and RFK. I like that. I like that. Um, I I just get frustrated when I want Keith Olbermann to not be relevant. He's so ridiculous. And I feel like there's got to be better people to shit talk because he's so bad and he's so silly. Like Joe Scarborough, I don't even understand. Would they exist if people weren't shit talking them? It seems like that's got to be their only reason that they're there. Where are their fans?
Irrelevant.
Where are the Joy Reid fans? Joy Reid is objectively ridiculous, right?
Yeah, objectively, yeah, she's insane. She's a lunatic.
S
Everything, everything is about race. She's like Ellie
yeah,
Mistel and all, and like the white progressives that hang out with that that buy into that stuff. That everything is racist, everything is sexist, everybody's Hitler, everybody's a fascist. Everything ends with ist.
yeah, exactly. Or
You know, and
PHOBE. Yeah.
I'm done with it,
Yes, bro.
and I'm the Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has a Jerusalem cross tattooed here, and a Jerusalem cross they thought was like some kind of like white supremacist Nazi thing. The
Jesus.
AP is running that story. Pete Hegseth is a white supremacist. A woman on Joy Reid's program called him a white supremacist. Now,
They're not to be taken seriously. Do you know people in real life that take MSNBC, Joy Reid, and all those seriously as like the news? Like when they talk about the news, that's who they talk
I
about. Do you
do. I
know any
know.
of those?
Yeah, I know people at the office that take that stuff seriously, and a lot of people at the job that I had for 3 years um, with a company that did IT security, internet. Excuse me, that did internet security. Yeah,
And they were totally, and they saw that as the news.
they were. It was content moderation. I was in a high priority queue, so I was doing mostly criminal stuff like you know, child traffickers, um, um,
Drugs, I imagine.
kidnappers.
Mm.
People would post their kidnapping videos on TikTok. I have,
Like,
I archived it, and so
what the fuck, man?
no, we had two phones, one to the U.S. Marshals and one to the FBI. So if it was something domestic, like a kidnapping video, you had to pick up the phone and call somebody, right? And
Checks
then
out.
give them all the information you had. So hopefully the person that got kidnapped would get rescued. But yeah,
I
it's
imagine that did you ever get feedback on that? I imagine they probably couldn't let you know. Like
no,
if
but
you
the content moderators that were doing mainline run of the mill content moderation on TikTok were tagging a Tucker Carlson monologue for hate speech, incitement of violence, racism, homophobia, transphobia. Um,
the usuals,
it
the
was
usuals.
insane. Like it was insane, and you don't
Was
have to
that
like.
most? Was that what percent? What percentage of your time at the job was nonsense like that versus percentage of real threats that you had to deal with? Percentage
Well,
of bullshit, percentage
since
of
I
real
was in a
threats.
high priority queue, since I was in a high priority queue, about 30 to 40% of what I saw was bad and
Okay.
needed like
So if you were
needed.
if you were at that tier and you were just seeing the very basic complaints of everybody, would it be like 90% bunch of bullshit to 10% real, or 99% bullshit to 1%?
So
What was your feel?
uh, the rest of it was yeah, the 30 to 35% that was not really bad stuff that needs an action taken, needs an account taken down now,
Gotcha.
needs law enforcement called. Then
That seems like a lot. That's a
that
lot.
leaves 70%, and most of that 70% was nonsense. I mean,
Gotcha.
right?
Tucker Carlson's a racist shit, or I imagine there was shit on the other side too. It couldn't have all been lefties hitting the right with dumb shit. It had to have been sometimes at least the
Well,
other time around.
it was insane because all of that stuff got anything that was remotely center or right of center got throttled down.
Huh.
TikTok throttled it down way low in the feed. They made it very difficult to find. So a good example would be um, a anything on Israel, anything on Gaza, anything on the war, right? So if the IDF killed some bad guys, and that was good news, and a um, and an account was like reporting that, right? An influencer, a news organization, anybody reporting that would get way throttled down. If it was um, Pallywood, which is the fake videos that the Cuds Network and all the Hamas propaganda influencers do, where they get dolls and put ketchup on them, et cetera,
Yeah,
right?
heard of
Those guys,
those.
yeah, those were way up high in the feed.
Alexa, stop.
So we're getting timed out here in a minute,
Yep.
and I want your last word. Oh, before we go, do you know who Victor David Hansen is?
He's a historian. I really like him. He after the whole Daryl Cooper thing on Tucker Carlson, he was trotted out to be like, "Here's why Daryl Cooper's full of shit," and he was very convincing. And I've seen interviews with him too. He's very smart. Seems like a good go-to smart motherfucker when
The
you want
guy's
to learn
really fucking
impartial shit.
smart.
Yeah,
So I'm just going to read something really quick. He's talking about Trump's first round picks for the big jobs. Uh, many uh, many who in the past were victimized by government bullies and cowardly bureaucratic grandees, or were sharp critics of the administrative state, are now, in karma style, in charge of the very agencies that hounded them. So Elon Musk, perennial target of regulatory functionaries, once was policed, and now he polices the bureaucratic police. Bobby Kennedy Jr., proposed overseer of government healthcare programs, blasted as a crank by subsidized scientists and administrators, he will now direct them. Pete Hegseth fought in the military. He fought the DEI machinery in the military while he was a soldier. He was in the ranks. He wrote a book about the corruption of the Pentagon. He will now, if confirmed, run the Pentagon. Tulsi Gabbard had properly put on a national security travel watch list as a national security threat, will now be guardian of our security as director of national intelligence. And I'm like,
I'm
if I,
psyched.
you know,
I'm
I'm
psyched.
I'm a little bit psyched for it.
I just to see what RFK says and to see the Doge reports, even if they don't do anything, I imagine we'll get to see the Doge reports. It's just so nice to see it swivel a little bit into the realm of fuck you rent seekers. You know, how about people that work for a living and think and are smart and actually want to use the scientific method and first principles thinking to go through life? How about we give them a shot? And you mid-level bureaucrat wannabe Soviet trash motherfuckers can go sit down for a little while and watch.
Only 7% of the federal workforce in DC is back to work at the office.
Only
7
7%.
7%. They're all sitting at home, cashing in on their $125,000 a year salaries, working a couple of hours a day, and I don't care if they get the whole fucking thing. I really don't. Fuck you.
Should have
Fuck
saved your
you.
money. Should have saved your money. When you got a job like that and you know the axe could come at any time, just put money in savings because you know, like,
Yeah,
hey, ride the wave while you can. I'm not going to blame you,
that's
but
right. Party the fuck.
understand how silly it is you deserving the money you get and prepare for the future, right?
Yeah.
Axe can come down. Boom. I'll drink
See
to
you,
that.
Scott.
I'll
We'll see
drink
you
to that.
next episode. Don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy. Cheers.
Cheers, man.